Hello and welcome back to Scale Down Customs. On the workbench today, I have the Revell Corvette C7R. This is the Revell Germany kit. And when I picked this up, I also saw the other Revell Corvette C7R kit. And I thought to myself, I wonder what the difference actually is on these two kits. So I picked up the other one and I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison build on the difference between Revell Germany and Revell on their Corvette C7R kit. Now, as I go through this, I'll try to keep, anytime I do a comparison, I'll try to keep the Revell Germany kit on the right. I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic, so this is gonna be a little tough. So I'm gonna try to keep the Revell Germany kit on the left and the Revell USA on the right. As I go through and do some comparison shots and things like that. So we'll actually build these up side by side and actually see what the differences are. So right off the bat, they're both 1/25th scale. They both have exactly 64 parts. The Revell Germany is rated at a level 3 build, and the Revell USA is leveled at a 4 build. Now on the back of this box, it'll show you, it'll kind of walk you through the skill level differences. So level 4 is glue and paint up to 120 pieces, build time 5+ hours. It's gonna be a lot more than that, but anyway, so that's the Revell USA level 4, and I haven't been able to find anything that describes the level 3, these level steps for the Revell Germany kit. All right, so let's open them up and see what the parts look like. We'll start with the Revell Germany kit. All right, so Revell Germany body panels are molded in yellow. Looks like we have some straight through axles for the wheels. The racing slicks look nice and clean. Little seam line across the middle of those. We'll be sanding that down. The glass comes bordered with from the factory, so that's a nice addition for Revell Germany. The rest of the pieces are just kind of in gray. Looks like some nice detail on some of those. The instructions for Revell Germany are in color, which I really like. And the decal sheet. Nice, crisp, clean decals. Those look really good. And Revell USA. The glass, nothing is in plastic, so the glass is not protected, so it's a little scratched up, but it also is black border painted from the factory. So nice on that. Everything is molded in white, which will make painting it a little easier. It's interesting, nothing is wrapped in plastic. Instruction sheet is black and white. Not quite as detailed, but still very good illustrations. Looks like very easy to follow instructions. And then your decal placement on the back. So the decal sheet looks to be almost identical, except for this part below. So with the Revell Germany, you get seatbelt decals, a grille decal, and some window liner decals. The decals themselves, the colors tend to be a little more sharp for Revell Germany. The gray is a little darker on the black and gray stripes, which I think I like that a little bit better on the Revell Germany. The decals themselves seem to be thinner. They're not quite as raised up on the decal sheet, so they'll probably lay down flatter on the car. And the silver part on the side decals actually looks a little cleaner as well. So far, with the instruction sheet being in color and the decal sheet being crisper, extra decals, the colors seem to be a little bit better and they don't seem to be as thick. I think Revell Germany is going to win out on the decal sheet and the instruction sheet. All right, let's talk about pricing for a minute. So this kit, I purchased both kits from my local hobby store. This one I paid $22 for, the Revell USA kit, and the Revell Germany kit I paid $35 for. So the Revell Germany kit is going to be a little bit more money. But so far, with the decal sheet and the instruction sheet, there is a little bit of a difference in these two kits so far, right out of the box. So the body plastics themselves look to be exactly identical. And the glass also looks to be exactly identical. I'm sure these all came from the same mold. Yeah, this one, so the Revell USA doesn't actually look to be too scratched up with just being in the box with no plastic around it. It actually looks exactly the same as this one. as the Revell Germany. So again, identical on those. Again, straight through axles for the wheels. So Revell USA wheels look to be a little bit shinier, but they appear to be the exact same wheel or tire. Looks like these were cut a little bit more roughly, the Revell Germany, than the Revell USA, and they tend to be a lot more uneven on the sidewall, and this one was molded crooked. Yeah, these tires are not very straight and even. So the Revell USA tires seem to be a little bit better, even though they feel they're from the same material. It looks like these ones were just molded a little bit more straight and a little more even, and not as rough cut from the mold. So I like the tires better in the Revell USA kit. All right, if we look at a couple of the mold pieces, again, they seem to be exactly the same. The detail, everything seems to be exactly the same. All the little detail on the steering wheel, the wheels, everything else appears to be identical in that regard. If we look at a couple more pieces, again, they appear to be identical, other than the color being different. The numbers that are the same, the detail appears to be the same. So far it looks to be that the plastics are exactly the same, just molded in different colors. All right, so this is going to be interesting, trying to build these up side by side, keeping the parts together with the same kit. But we'll make this work. All right, so first I'm going to get the bodies cleaned up. Looking for mold lines, getting those sanded down and ready for primer and paint. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I actually picked this technique up from Tom with the Scale Modeling channel. But what I'm doing is I'm looking for mold lines, and what that is in the molding process, when the molds come together and they inject the plastic, sometimes the plastic will squeeze out just a little tiny bit in those seams. That's why they're called mold lines, and we don't want them on our body. They're not supposed to be there. So I'm just going to go through and mark them up with a magic marker, and then that way I can sand them off until they're smooth. And if you run your finger across these edges, you'll feel a little bit of a sharp edge, and that's the mold line that I'm after. All right, now that I got my mold lines I marked and identified, I'm going to be using a couple different things to take those off. This is just an emery board, a fingernail file, 2 different grits on either side. I don't know what the grit level is on that. Some sanding sticks from the hobby store, and then some Tamiya sanding sponges. Mostly I'll be using this 600 grit. So these panel lines actually look really good, but I want to take them down just a little bit deeper because I am going to be sanding. I just want those to be slightly, just a little bit deeper. So I'm going to be using my Tamiya panel line scribing tool, and I think this is the 0.2 millimeter head on there. So I'm just going to go through and scrape up, just take some of these panel lines just a little bit deeper, just to give them a little bit more definition. All right, I got the bodies sanded down and scribed. So since all the plastic work is all the same, I'm probably only going to show the build one time rather than showing you the same thing over and over again. Obviously the doors are going to be the same color as the car, so I'm going to get these doors clipped off and cleaned up prior to primer and paint. Now to glue these on here, I'm just going to use my Tamiya extra thin cement since I don't have the pieces painted or primed yet, so it'll give me the most effective bond plastic to plastic. All right, so I'm going to let that set up, and then I'll do the same to the Revell Germany kit. All right, now that I got the body mostly done, we're going to move ahead on some of the other parts with the engine. All right, so I've got another variance or difference between these two kits in the instructions. So if we look at the Revell Germany instructions, for the cooler, It calls out 2 different paint colors for that part. Also for the roll cage panel and the seat, 2 different color callouts for those. Whereas if we look at the Revell USA instructions, it only has the 1 paint callout for each of those items. Obviously you can add more color to that if you want, but if you're just following the instructions, you will get more paint callouts on different variances with the Revell Germany instruction sheet. So that is another difference. All right, I got most of my parts cleaned off the sprues and in primer, so we're ready to start doing some actual painting. So we're going to be using some Alclad, some steel, aluminum, and then the Tamiya semi-gloss black, and a couple other paints just to get this thing painted up. So I'm going to go grab the airbrush and start painting some of these. All right, so the instructions call for the engine covers to be a couple of different colors. This band going across there is going to be steel, the pipe, steel. So I've got the first color on there, which is a graphite. And so now I'm going to mask that off and we'll paint those steel and then move on to the other colors. Not too bad. So we'll let these dry up and then we'll move on to the other flat black and then semi-gloss black. All right, I want to add some weathering to the engine block, not to gunk it up, but mostly just to bring out the shadows and the highlights a little bit more. So to do that, I'm going to be using some Mr. Weathering color. This is the multi-black, and then the Mr. Color Solvent 110. This actually will take some of this back off without taking off the paint that's underneath. And then just some Q-tips. And this is just a brush cleaning station that I have with just some lacquer thinner in there. All right, so the method is we're going to put this on pretty heavy, and then we're going to start taking it back off and thinning it down in the process with the Solvent 110. Which will help it to flow into the low spots and bringing out our shadows and highlights. So we're pretty much just going to coat the whole thing and then let it set up for just a minute and then start taking it back off. All right, that's kind of the look I'm going for. So again, I'm not trying to gunk it up. I'm just trying to deepen those shadows a little bit more. So that's kind of the look I'm going for. We'll let that set up and then we'll be ready for some assembly. All right, so I've been working on just getting some of the parts painted up, ready for some more detail painting prior to assembly. So we're gonna work on some of that a little bit more. All right, so we're mostly done with the detail painting. I think that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you stay tuned for the next one, where we're going to put some of the decals on and get some assembly going, and hopefully we'll get the body finished up. We'll show you the painting on that one as well. So make sure you stay tuned for the next video, where we'll go through and do all that. Plus I'll give you a summary on my findings on the difference between the Revell Germany and the Revell USA kits. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.